Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, I saw a video by Sue Harbort, who is at Paper Inspirations, and she made a folder to hold some plastic pockets. Now, her pockets are different to this and they're a different size. Hers have got zips on them and these pockets are actually bigger. These are actually A5 size document wallets and I can't remember where I bought them. But anyway, I'm going to try and use them, and there's 4 in the pack. Now, because of the size of them, Sue made hers out of 1 sheet of 12-inch paper because her pockets are narrower. But I can't do that in this case, so I'm going to have to change it a bit, well, quite a lot actually. So I have cut 3 pieces of chipboard. I've cut 2 pieces that are 7 inches by 9 3/4, so there's 2 of those. Now these are just off the back of pattern paper pads, so you know they're not that thick, but they're thick enough to do this job. So I've got 2 pieces at 7 by 9 3/4 and 1 piece that's 2 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to use this Denise Bodie Le Jardin Romantic paper. This one's called Enchanted Florals, and I've got 2 sheets of that here. I'm going to leave 1 sheet as a complete sheet, so that's 12 by 12, and I have cut another piece that's 6 inches by 12 inches, and that's what I need to make enough paper to wrap this cardboard in to make my front and back cover and spine. So my cover. So to join these 2 pieces of paper together, what I'm going to do is run this 1/2 inch tape along here, trying to get it nicely to the edge so that I get a nice straight line. Like that. And cut that off. And then I can add this to it. So to get this nice and level, I'm going to line the edge of it up with the edge of that 1/2 inch tape. So I'm basically getting a 1/2 inch overlap of the papers. And once I've got that all done, I'm going to use my bone folder and burnish that so that it's nicely stuck down. So it's nice and firm and nothing's going to happen to it. So this is going to be the back of my book. And so what I need to do is attach these in here, like so. And you can see I've got about 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the bottom, and about 3/4 of an inch on each side here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover these pieces of cardboard with double-sided tape and attach them to my page. So here we have all of my chipboard with its double-sided tape on it. I am now going to, I've burnished this double-sided tape onto that so that it's nice and firm. And I'm going to position this so that I've got a little bit of a gap. See, just that little bit of a gap between this cover and this spine. I'm going to put that down there. Then I'm going to do this piece. Once again, positioning that so that it's just got the smallest of gaps there. You only need a gap as thick as this cardstock, so you could just pop, you know, that in there so that you know you've got enough gap. And I'm going to do the same for this piece here. Now I'm going to try and get it as straight as possible. to position this on here. Burnish that down. I didn't think I had taken that off. Okay, so once again I'm going to burnish that down. Now that I've got it stuck down nicely. So here's the front of my book and the back. Now I'm going to run a row of tape around the outside edge of this frame. And along the edge of the cardboard. So I'm going to do that all around all four sides of both the cardboard and the pattern paper. Okay, so I've got all my tape on now. Now I'm going to just fold this paper. Oh no, I should have cut the corners off first, but it's not going to make any difference. So we're just going to angle this in here and then also in here. Just leaving a little bit of paper on the corner. Do that on all four corners. So now I'm going to just tease this up here. And I'm going to do the same for this end. Okay, so now I'm just going to peel that back a little and peel this off. And peel this one back a little bit and peel this off, and then I'm going to fold that down over there. So you can see that by folding it over first, it makes it a lot easier to get it to come over into the right position. You don't have to struggle against the sticky tape to do it. Now I'll do the same for this end. So, peel this off, peel this one back a little, that off, this one back a little, and peel this one off. And fold that one in. Stick that down so that it's nice and firm. Now we will do the same for here. We're going to fold this up, and before we do, we're going to run our bone folder. Just push that little pointy bit in towards the seam on both ends. I'm going to do the same here, push that up and in. And then we will fold this up before we take the backing off our tape. So that when we do release our backing off of our tape, it's going to fall into place a lot easier. So we can peel that off. Peel this one off. And fold that over. Always work from the outside in, and that way you'll get a nice, smooth, flat fold. Where we've got the join there, I'm just going to run my bone folder down in that. It will make it easier to fold this in a minute when we want to fold along that spine. So now again, fold this up and over. Once again, working from the outside down so that we get a nice flat fold. Take our backing off. And then fold that down. And burnish. Oh, I forgot to do my corners. Luckily enough, they've come in alright. Got a little bit of a thing there, but that'll be fine. Okay, once again, I'm just going to put a bit of a groove there where the fold is. Okay, so there we have our cover. Now we're just going to gently fold this up, and you can see now that that gap, why we need that gap there. Do the same for this one. If we had that butted right up together, well, then it would not close properly. And now, there we have our folder. Depending on what paper you use, whether you need to really fold this over, right over, so that it sits flat. I'm not going to bother with that. It's never going to sit flat in its real life. So there we have the outside cover done. Now, to put our pockets in, so they're going to sit in here like this. And right, I'm going to hinge them in there so that I can flip them, and then when I see what I want, I can open the pocket and get it out. Now to do this, we're going to need to have some hinges put on this end. So I'm going to cut some paper, some pattern paper. I might see what I've got in my scraps thing. But it's got to be the same length as this, so that's going to be 9 and, what is it going to be? 9.5, say, 9.5. It's just under 9.5, but 9.5 will do the trick. And I'm going to cut them 9.5 by 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to cut 8 strips of them because I'm going to fit 4 envelopes in here. And I need one of those hinges for each side of each envelope. So I'll do that and I will come back to you. So now I've cut my 8 strips that are 3/4 of an inch by 9.5 inches. So they're long enough to cover the bottom of my little folders. And I am scoring each one of them at 1/2 inch. So that gives me a 1/2 inch section and a 1/4 inch section. Now I'm going to fold all of those. So I'm going to fold that over, like so, and burnish it down. So I'm going to end up with 8 pieces that are folded at 1/4 of an inch. We've got 1/2 inch here and 1/4 of an inch there. Now if you want to ink or stitch or anything like that, Sue stitched on hers and it looks great, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to make this one plain and see how I like it, and if I use it, to be quite honest. But the idea is good. Whether I use it or not is another thing. So I'm just going to do this off screen, and I'll come back to you when all of my 8 pieces are folded and scored. So there we go. We've got like that. Okay, so I've cut my strips of paper. They are 9.5 inches long by 3/4 of an inch. I've done my scoring and folding, and I have added double-sided tape to the back. Now in the 1/2 inch section I've just added normal double-sided tape, and in the 1/4 inch section I've added red tape. I've just added the red tape because I want them to stick to the spine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1/2 inch piece off, and I'm going to stick these to the bottom of the plastic pocket with the folded edge along the bottom. So stick it right there, and then like so, and like so. Now my pocket's not quite 9.5 inches long, but I did make the paper 9.5 inches long. So that's what I have got. Now I'm going to do that on both sides of the pocket. So once again, match that up with the bottom of the pocket and stick it down. Once I've got that stuck on there, I'm going to use my bone folder and burnish that on both sides, so I know that it's stuck on there very, very firmly. This is what's going to hold my pocket into my folder, so it's got to be very firm. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, so this will sit in my folder like so. And this will be sitting on the top, and that will open out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that for all of my pockets, all 4 of them. So there we have all of our hinges attached to our plastic pockets. Now before I attach them to my cover, I want to cover the inside here. But before I do that, I'm going to put a closure on here. So that will be my next job. So I think I'll use probably a ribbon might be the easiest to undo. So I think I'll get some ribbon and do this. So I decided that I'm going to use some of this sari silk. So I've cut a piece off. I'm just going to cut this in half, and I'm going to attach that inside here with some glue. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue for that, and I'm going to put a row there of glue, nice big thick piece of glue, and then I'm going to lay my sari silk on top of that like so. And then I think I will put some double-sided tape on top of that as well. I'm going to stick pattern paper on this anyway, so there will be more double-sided tape, but I just want to make sure that this is not going to pull out. I'm going to put a piece close to the edge there. And I'll just leave that there for the moment, and I'll do the same for this side. I want them to be about the same, so if I just close that up and put this about where I want it, so about that much in, that looks about right to me. Put a row of glue there, nice thick amount of glue, and then put my sari silk on top. So I want to take the glue not quite to the end here, because when I put my pattern paper over the top, I'll step it in about 1/8 of an inch, and I don't want that glue showing out beyond the paper. So now a couple of pieces of double-sided tape for that. Nice and close to the edge there. And one back here. So there we have a closure, so I can just tie that in a bow, and it's adjustable, so you know, even if it gets that fat, I can still tie it closed with this. So there we have our outside cover. Inside I need to cover this now, so I'm going to go and find some paper to cover this area. So I've cut 3 pieces of paper, 2 pieces to go on the big areas and 1 piece to go on the spine. You probably don't need one on the spine because these are going to completely cover it, but just in case some pokes out, I wanted to have this on there to make sure it's covered. So I'm going to start by putting that piece down first, so that when I lay these on, they go over the top of the edges of it. So I'm going to try and get this central over here. So I want this lined up so that we've got about 1/8 of an inch at the bottom, and as centrally as I can, and hopefully it's straight, and that can go there. So when you're using double-sided tape, it's always a good idea to burnish every time. So I'm going to burnish that down so that it's nice and firmly stuck. Then I'm going to try and find the crease and just run my bone folder down the crease. Which is not a very good bone folder for that. It's a bit too fat. So if I just keep my fingers in there and work that up like so. Okay, and then do the same for the other side. Fingers in the groove. Try and make sure that that pattern paper stays down in that groove. So you can bend that over a little more. Isn't that stuck down? There we go. If you find that it doesn't stick, you can always use a bit of liquid glue in there with it. But I think if I burnish this down well enough, it will be fine. You can always add a bit of glue later if it starts to bulge. Okay, so now I'm going to add my larger pieces. I haven't completely covered this. I've used my 2-inch tape to just go around the edges of these. Hopefully that will be sufficient. So, just going to go on there like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this edge off first, tape off this edge first, and take these off. And then I'm going to line this up on here so that I've just got an even amount showing down the edge there, like so. Push that into place and then peel this back and take the backing off of the other tape. It's a bit easier to handle if you just handle one strip at a time. It's okay if it goes well, but if it doesn't and you have to peel the whole thing off, you'll lose your whole piece of paper. You might as well throw it in the bin, really. So once I've got that, I can just use my hand to smooth that back towards the centre. And because I've cut it like 1/4 of an inch smaller, so I cut those pieces well, 9.5 by 6 3/4, and this actual cover is 9 3/4 by 7. So once again we're going to burnish that down. You can see how it is neat there on the edge now. This won't take so much burning because it doesn't have to fold or anything like that. Okay, so there's our back cover. I don't know why that's not sticking up. Yeah, perhaps I haven't got the tape right to the edge in that area. Now we're going to do this one. So this is going to go on here, like so. I'm going to peel this piece off first and do the same as I did on the other side. So line this up so that I've got about 1/8 of an inch. Take these two off. And put this down so that I've got it as evenly as I can get it. See, I've got a bit of glue breaking out there. Push that into place and then take the other backing tapes off. from the outside and just work your way in towards the centre. That way you won't get any creases or bumps. Okay, so once again I'm going to burnish that down. Okay, so there we have our cover, all ready to go. So now we're going to start adding our pockets. Now when you're adding your pockets, you want to make sure that you've got your openings, whatever sort of openings you're using, facing in the right direction. So I'm going to start by just peeling one of these off. This red tape's worse than normal to get off the backing, isn't it? Still, it is pretty good tape. I have to try the other end. I think I might have messed that end up. There we go. Right, so that's the way I want it to go in, the press stud up and to my left. So what I'm going to do now is line that up, line the edge of this up with the fold without going over the fold. And centre it. So now I'm going to use my bone folder and burnish that down. Then I can come to the back, remove that real patience tester. Okay, and I'm going to stand that up and stick that down. So that gives us a hinge. So I can now burnish that down. Just work that backwards and forwards a couple of times. And that's our first pocket in. I put the tape on the wrong side and of course I've stuck that right on the front, so that was a bit of a boo-boo. I might have to cover that with another piece of paper. Okay, now this one will go on here. So this is going to butt up to that one. So now we've got our first one down. It's a lot easier. We just have to butt them up to each other. So make sure you've got your opening in the right place and go through the same process. Now I'm not sure whether you want to watch me struggle with this tape or whether I should just do this off camera and come back when it's done. I'll do one more because it is the trickiest part of the whole operation. I'll tell you what. If you've got a magic way of doing this, let me know, will you? I have seen some people use a pick. I don't know how that works. Let's try it. pointy thing. Oh, yes. So there we go. I haven't torn my paper, have I? No. Okay. So, make sure we got our fastener up the right way. Lay this out flat and stick it right next to the previous one. Okay. And our fingers along there and our bone folder along there. Now we'll get this piece off. Tell you, if I wasn't videoing this, it would come off a lot easier. It always happens when you're videoing, doesn't it? No, that's not even. No, I think I'm definitely going to be doing this off camera because it's like watching paint dry, isn't it? There we go. Stand this up and stick that down. Fold it over. Burnish that down. If the tape sticks as well as the backing sticks to the tape, this will never come off. Just working backwards and forwards a couple of times. So there we've got 2 pockets in our folder. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same thing for these 2, but I'm going to do it off screen because taking that tape off is tedious, and I'm sure that you don't want to sit there and watch me fiddle around with it forever. Okay, what I've done is I've started the tapes off so that we can I can show you these last couple exactly how they're done. So once again I've peeled that tape off, and now I'm just lining these up right next to the previous hinge and burnishing that down. Once you've mastered the art of removing the tape backing, it's quite a quick process. Burnish. Remember, these pockets are going to be opening and closing all the time, so you want a good stick. You don't want tape that's not going to stay in place. So that's why I'm using the red tape, because I'm hoping that this will get a lot of use. press that down, burnish that, and then press it back that way, burnish that. The more use these pockets get, the more they'll bend. So another little tip is make sure when you're making your hinges, use a decent cardstock, not a paperweight cardstock, just thicker cardstock, so that there's no chance of it coming unstuck or tearing. Basically, the thinner the card or the paper, the more likely it is to tear with use. So I'm just lining that up and sticking that down. Use my bone folder in there once again. Then peel this one off. There's the end I started. Peel that off. Hold that up and set it down. Hopefully, doesn't look promising. I think I've gone over the fold, which we don't really want at all. You can see I'm a bit away here. I haven't put that in very well at all. And I think that's going to mess me up with my fold. It's right on the fold, which is not ideal. We didn't really want that, so when you're making yours, be a bit more careful. Maybe you could even make this back a quarter of an inch wider. It wouldn't hurt if it was a quarter of an inch wider, because having a gap there would be much better than what I've got. That's not ideal. But anyway, it's there now and there's not much I can do about it. So I am going to put a bit of glue down there because I don't like the way that keeps popping off. Put that in there, hold that in place, wipe any excess glue off, and hopefully that will make it a bit sturdier. So give that a minute to set, to catch. Okay, that should be caught by now. And there we go. So we've got our 4 pockets, and we can close our pockets up so we can tie a bow. I was thinking of putting a document wallet closer on here, but I think that would be more fiddly than untying and tying a bow. So there we go. So there's our folder. Now I'm going to embellish this a little bit. There's a lovely picture on there, so it doesn't really need a lot of embellishment, just a little bit of something. So I'll go and have a look what I've got and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've decided not to embellish this at all because it's going to stand up on my desk here, and I'm going to make some more, and pushing them in and out beside each other is going to be a hassle if I've got extra dimension on here. So if there was another one sitting next to it, it would rub all the time. So there it is. If you're going to try one of these, my one suggestion would be to make your spine a quarter of an inch wider
if you're going to be using 4 pockets. So basically it's 1/2 inch for every pocket plus 1/4 inch. So I did mine 2 inches, preferably 2 1/4. Yeah, did I can't remember whether I said 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, but you want 1/4 inch more. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think I will be able to fit plenty of things in here, so I'm going to put fussy cut items and labels and small things in here that I'll use in my journals or my scrapbooking or whatever. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. You could also use different openings if you wanted to. You know, you could put the, what's it called, where you have the circles and you bring the twine and wrap it around. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, anyway, there's mine. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And you can make one of these, even if you can't get these same document wallets. So they were called document wallets A5, and there's 4 in the pack. But you could make one of these for any size document wallet. So all you've got to do, all I did was add 1/2 inch to the depth and 1/2 inch to the width for my covers. If your wallets are narrower, you might not even have to have a spine. You might be able to just use a full sheet of cardstock and reinforce that. So you may not need to join, depending on the width of your wallets. Okay, so that's it. I am very happy with this, apart from that 1/4 inch. That will probably bug me. So I'm going to make another one, I'm sure. So thank you for watching my video, and I hope you can join me when I post my next video. But until then, happy crafting, and I hope you have a go at making one of these. Bye.